The president-elect and his rocky relationship with the media as Mr. Trump takes to Twitter once again. He tweeted this: "Just watched NBC Nightly News. So biased, inaccurate, and bad point after point. Just can't get much worse, although CNN is right up there." Let's talk about it with our media panel today. Joining us, Heidi Przybyla, senior political correspondent at USA Today, and Jonah Goldberg, senior editor at National Review and Fox News contributor. Apparently, Heidi, he was upset by some reporting that ran on NBC News that talked about he wasn't getting his presidential daily briefings every day, which he is entitled to get as a president-elect. So he went after NBC and CNN. What's the effect?
Well, this is just part of a broader pattern, which is that he takes to Twitter when he sees something on a news channel. It could be Fox, it could be CNN, it could be NBC. Whoever is reporting it, if he does not like it, he will tweet. And it's not that these things are inaccurate, because the two statements that you just made were factual. It is that he does not like that it's being reported, period, which is the troubling part. If he were using his Twitter to challenge things that were actually empirically false, I think that there would be a lot of understanding of that. But you see this, and it's not just with the media. And here is the part that is concerning, John, is that we've seen this over the course of the campaign, that when there is an institution that causes a problem for him, such as like with the courts and Trump University during the campaign, he called into question the judge. He does it with the media, and now he's doing it with the CIA, with our intelligence services. So I just think it's important to point out the pattern here. There is, of course, a strategic reason to go especially hard on the media, because it is our job to question power and hold authority accountable, but it is a pattern.
Pretty fair to say, Jonah, that no president since, LBJ, JFK, no president in the modern era has enjoyed a great relationship with the press. They don't love the press, but is Donald Trump taking it to a new level?
Oh, yeah. It's not just a new level. It's sort of a parallel universe. I mean, and I think Heidi's absolutely correct that, Donald Trump doesn't make distinctions that a lot of us in the press or in government make. He basically is a nearest weapon-to-hand fighter, and if some institution that he doesn't like or some person that he doesn't like says something critical about him or something that he doesn't want to hear, his instinct is to punch back. He's bragged about it. He's admitted it. And I think the thing is, when it comes to something like Twitter, is you're going to hit the point of diminishing returns sooner rather than later. People know that Trump does this. It's already losing a lot of its oomph, a lot of its sort of sex appeal and media buzz, precisely because, as Heidi says, this pattern has been going on for a very long time. And I think if, look, I mean, there are all these reports about how his advisors want to hide his Twitter account from him and they can't do it. At some point, this will, I think, start to be a real handicap for Donald Trump, precisely because he's so promiscuous with it. He needs to husband his credibility, not just sort of squander it, and the Twitter doesn't help him in that regard.
Heidi, it hit close to home for a lot of us at Fox News when James Rosen was investigated. Secretly, the Obama administration got a court order to search his personal email account and things like that, looking for the source of a leak. Do you see that kind of behavior from a President Trump?
Well, certainly it's been part of a pattern, John, that's been developing over several administrations. This is bipartisan. Like Jonah says, no president loves us. That's because we're doing our jobs. I am concerned that this could go even further, because it's been on this trajectory with the Trump administration. I am concerned that in setting up this narrative about the media and the dishonest media, that what we're headed for is not just journalists being targeted, but journalists being shut out. You already hear people close to the Trump administration now saying we shouldn't have the daily briefing. Well, we can have a debate about that, but overall, the media represents the idea that the founders had in mind, was that the media represents the people, and that we are there to question the president and the Congress. And if we are shut out of the new administration, it's going to be really hard to get any kind of meaningful facts out to the public, and especially if that public is so disdainful as well of the media.
Yeah.
I can tell you the majority of the media people I know are not rich personalities. They're not elite. They're people who work for a pauper salary compared to the people that they cover, often under very difficult circumstances and with a lot of abuse, both online and sometimes in person.
But it's also true, Jonah, that most of the media who would actually report making donations or report who they voted for supported Democrats in the most recent election cycle.
No, that's absolutely true. I mean, I used to cut my teeth as being a sort of conservative media critic, and I think the debate about liberal media bias and all that kind of stuff is fairly settled, at least to my own satisfaction. But none of that should matter when you think about the kind of examples like James Rosen. And look, I take a backseat to nobody in thinking that James Rosen is a sketchy, suspicious guy. But no, he's actually a friend of mine. But it doesn't matter what your partisan affiliation is when it comes to the kind of things that the Obama administration has done under the Espionage Act and other laws to go after journalists, to try to shut down journalists. And I think that if Donald Trump translated what is essentially his harmless attitude on Twitter into actual policy of going after journalists with the power of the state, then that would be A, really, really bad, and B, an invitation for a spectacular supernova of hypocrisy on all sides. Because the liberals who defended Barack Obama for doing this kind of stuff would all of a sudden be outraged, and a lot of conservatives who denounced Barack Obama for that stuff would all of a sudden defend the administration, and it would be a pretty depressing spectacle.
Fascinating times coming up. We'll be watching it and reporting on it, certainly. Heidi Przybyla, Jonah Goldberg, thank you both.
Thank you.